I think we all, as Star Wars fans, love Hayden Christensen, but he made part of our childhood who grew up watching the prequels and loved all of those fighting sequences and spaceship battles. And if you're more familiar with the lore of Star Wars fans, it wasn't always like that. The fact was the opposite. He was mostly hated for his performances. But have you ever understood why the people who watched those movies back there they hated? Because at the time, for example, I was a kid, but there were grown-ups who haven't seen Star Wars for a long time that finally saw that and they didn't like. So let's try to understand why is that, who was Hayden, and why he became so loved for Star Wars fans now. All of that and more, so don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and let's go with this video. Okay, first of all, there was a huge expectation coming out to Star Wars 1 The Phantom Menace. I know that he wasn't a part of this cast, but we need to understand how this expectation was growing and growing inside people's heart and how it got delivered. First of all, the expectations for Star Wars The Phantom Menace were incredibly high, as it was the first Star Wars film in 16 years since Return of the Jedi that was released in 1983. The anticipation was further fueled by the fact that George Lucas, the creator of the franchise, was returning to direct the film, and he had promised to use the latest special effects technology to bring the world of Star Wars to life in a way that we never seen before. Fans were also excited to see the backstory of some of the most beloved characters in the franchise, including Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. Additionally to that, the film had a highly anticipated new character, Darth Maul, who was revealed in the trailer wielding a double-bladed lightsaber. There was also a lot of hype around the film's marketing campaign, which included a massive merchandising push and tie-ins with fast food chains, other companies. However, despite the enormous expectations, the reception of The Phantom Menace was kind of mixed. Some fans loved it for its world building, special effects, and return of the Star Wars universe, while others criticized it for the wooden dialogue, cartoonish characters, and portrayal of some of the franchise's most iconic characters overall. While the expectations for The Phantom Menace were sky high, the film's reception demonstrated that no amount of hype can guarantee a universally beloved film, especially when it comes to a beloved franchise like Star Wars. And the criticism Star Wars largely fell into three main categories: the film's story, characters, its dialogue, and its use of CGI. One of the most common complaints is that it was convoluted and difficult to follow. Fans felt that the film was bogged down with political intrigue and exposition, and that the focus on trade disputes, taxation was dull and unengaging. Additionally, some fans were disappointed with the portrayal of Anakin Skywalker as a child, feeling that he was too young to be relatable or interesting as a character. Another major criticism of the film was its dialogue. Many fans felt that the script was wooden, lacking in nuance, with characters delivering still lines that didn't ring true. The film's heavy use of CGI was also a point of contention for many fans. The special effects were cutting edge at that time. Some fans felt that the heavy reliance on CGI made the film feel very artificial and sterile. Like today, it's good, but at that time in the 2000s, it wasn't that great. They also criticized the film's design choices, such as the decision to portray the Trade Federation as Asian stereotypes and the Gungans as caricatures of Jamaican culture. Overall, the criticism largely revolved around the film's lack of heart and soul, with many fans feeling that it failed to capture the magic of the original trilogy. Despite its impressive visual effects and exciting action sequences, the film's flaws left many fans feeling disappointed and let down by the long-awaited return of the Star Wars franchise. Jake Lloyd, for example, the young actor who played Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 1, was subject to intense criticism and bullying following the release of the film. Many fans were disappointed with the portrayal of Anakin as a child, feeling that he was too young to be relatable, interesting as a character, and that his acting was stilled. Jake, who was only 10 when the film was released, was the target of much of his criticism. Lloyd has spoken publicly about the toll that this criticism took on him. including the bullying he faced in school and the loss of his passion for acting. He has also spoken about the mental health issues that he faced in the years since the film released, including a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So it kind of led to way worse things that we were imagining, that we were criticizing a young kid for that. And you could see how bad were Star Wars fans back then to push this agenda. And of course, George Lucas didn't left or harm in this battle. He, of course, is the creator and the director of Star Wars, was aware of the mixed reception of Star Wars Episode 1, but he did not seem to be particularly bothered by it. In interviews at the time, he acknowledged that the film was not going to please everyone, but he also defended the creative choices that he made. Lucas has often said that he sees the Star Wars films as his own personal art projects, and that he doesn't make them with the intention of pleasing the critics or the fans. He has also said that he is more interested in pushing the boundaries of technology and special effects than in telling a conventional story. Despite the criticism, The Phantom Menace was a very commercial success. It grossed over $1 billion at the box office worldwide. This financial success allowed Lucas to continue making the other films in the prequel trilogy, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, which also received very mixed reviews. And in the years since the release of The Phantom Menace, Lucas has continued to defend his creative choices, but he has also acknowledged that some of the film's flaws. In interviews, he has said that he made some mistakes in characters like Jar Jar Binks, and that he might have approached the story differently if he had known how the film was going to be received. However, he also said that he is proud of the film and that he stands with his decisions as a filmmaker. And now let's talk about a little bit about who is Hayden. Hayden is a Canadian actor who was born in 81 in Vancouver, and he began acting at a younger age, appearing in local theater productions in his hometown. He also started doing commercials, and he at the time had small roles in Canadian television such as Family Passions, Goosebumps, and Christensen's breakthrough role came in 2001, Life as a House, where he played a troubled teenager opposite Kevin Kline. He received critical acclaim for his performance, and the film earned him a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Hayden was cast as Anakin in Star Wars 2 and Star Wars 3 after an extensive casting process. George Lucas had originally planned to cast a much younger actor to play the teenage Anakin in Attack of the Clones, but ultimately decided that a slightly older actor was necessary to convey the character's emotional complexity. Christensen, who was in his early 20s at the time, was selected after a lengthy audition process that included hundreds of actors. Lucas has spoken publicly about his decisions for casting Christensen in this role, citing his combination of youthful energy and emotional depth. He also said that he was impressed by Christensen's ability to convey both the light and dark sides of Anakin's character, which was essential to the story arc of the prequel trilogy. And as the movie came out, Hayden's performance as Anakin in the Star Wars prequel was met with mixed reviews. Some fans and critics praised his portrayal of the character, while others, were critical of his acting, just like they did with Jake. And one of the criticisms leveled against Christensen's performance was that he lacked charisma, likability of the original trilogy protagonist Luke. Some fans felt that Anakin was too moody and brooding, and that Christensen's acting was too robotic. Others felt that his delivery of some of the dialogue was stilled or awkward, and that he was not able to convey the emotional depth of the character's arc. We have some memes to portray that, for example, where he was talking to Senator Amidala. He's talking about I don't like sand, those things, and his look is so still. This conversation is just so weird. And we have a problem also where he's telling his love to Padme in the dark room, and you see there's a problem in writing as well, because it was so corny that I think no one could portray that in a good way. I'm gonna defend him at this one. I think the lines were just so terrible for him. On the other hand, there were also many fans who appreciated Christensen's portrayal of Anakin, particularly in the darker moments of the character's story, Some felt that he was able to convey the internal struggle between Anakin's desire to do good and his eventual descent into darkness. We see that, and other praise his physicality and athleticism in the action sequences, as well as his chemistry with co-star Natalie, who played Anakin's love interest. That was good because he had a good connection with her at that time, and that was definitely one thing to praise him for. Also, the battle sequences, I think some viral videos of him doing behind the scenes fighting with the lightsaber. He was very skillful at the time. He's still, but at that time he was amazing at it. Additionally, the Star Wars prequel trilogy was filmed using a lot of green screen technology, which could be difficult for some actors to work with because there's not so many things for us to understand what's happening when we are recording. And there are a few reasons, I think, why fans may have started to appreciate Hayden Christensen's performance throughout the years. Firstly, I think the passage of time can often bring a new perspective on a work of art or entertainment as the years go by and cultural attitudes and tastes changes. People may come to view a movie or performance in a different light. In the case of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, it's possible that fans who were initially critical of Christensen's acting have come to appreciate it more, as they have revisited the films or watched them in the context of the larger Star Wars canon. Additionally, Christensen's portrayal of Anakin was always a challenging one. The character goes through a dramatic transformation over the course of the prequel trilogy, starting out as a hopeful young Jedi and ending up as the villainous Darth Vader. This kind of character arc requires a lot of emotional range and subtlety to pull off effectively, and it's possible that some fans were initially put off by Christensen's portrayal because it wasn't what they were expecting or hoping. And finally, there is a growing appreciation among some fans for the prequel trilogy as a whole. While these films were initially met with mixed reviews, there are many fans who have come to appreciate the depth and complexity of the story they tell, as well as the contributions that Christensen and other actors made to the Star Wars universe. As these fans will have grown in number and become more vocal about their appreciation for the prequels, it's possible that this has helped to shift the broader cultural perception of these movies and of Christensen's performance in particular. And as a Star Wars production that definitely portrayed how fans were happy and hopeful for Hayden was in 2019, where after failure of the production of Solo in 2018, Disney announced one of their most ambitious productions at the time, Kenobi, telling the story of Obi-Wan 10 years later after Star Wars 3 and trying to hide himself from the Empire. And of course, rumors were saying that possibly Darth Vader was going to appear in some episodes. Not only that, he will be played by Hayden, and the rumors were actually true as they were presenting all the cast. And at first, the reactions of the public when they were presented was insane in the internet. People were loving that. And a year ago, both Ewan and Hayden were presented together at Star Wars Celebration. Then boy, oh boy, the reactions that they got was just amazing. The praise that both of them were receiving, but not only Ewan, because I think Ewan, as he was growing, he became more popular than Hayden. For some particular reasons, he might be a better actor, I don't know, but Hayden, he just might have followed a different path for his life. But when he came back, Hayden, the fans went crazy, oh my god, he's back. I was so happy for that to happen. And of course, when the series came out, it was very divisive. I loved it, but also the reactions mostly about the writing, the directing of the series, and not so much about the preference of both actors. They liked that because, as I said, most of Star Wars public nowadays praised both of the actors, and I think what saved this series was at the end, where they needed to face each other one last time. I remember watching that episode together with my best friend, and we watched it in a watch party, and I almost had tears in my eyes because how well they did that performance of battling against each other, and how complex Darth Vader was at that point, and how powerful he was, and how Obi-Wan was able to overcome him. And that was, of course, one of the best lightsaber duels that I've ever witnessed. It wasn't only in that time that he appeared in public that he was heavily praised. I think he understood how people loved him after what happened a couple weeks ago in the Star Wars Year Celebration 2023, that he literally cheered up, and I can only say that I'm so grateful for him to, be part of my childhood, and he was definitely one of the reasons that I love Star Wars nowadays, because he presented to me one of the greatest stories of all time, mainly on Star Wars 3. I think was the pinnacle of that, and I think he got that love from the fans that he rightfully deserved, and mostly because of the hate that he was getting towards him at the time, he at least got a compensation for it. And there's hope for me that he might as well be part of the franchise once again, because as Disney is doing more expansions of their lore, it isn't impossible that they do, for example, a TV series or a movie trilogy about Darth Vader in his peak with the Emperor. And now we understand that Hayden is so ready to do this job because he already did. He's definitely he did a fantastic performance doing Darth Vader, and I am hopeful that he might do another time in a production focused on him. So yes, I think that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video. So goodbye and peace.